Bonesy, my Bonesy. How you doing, man?
Oh boy, I'm doing great, Birds. Thank you for asking. Swain, how are you doing today? Swain? Hello?
Is he still grinding for the world's first raids challenge?
Yeah,
That can't be right.
He probably lost.
Came and went. No, we are down to Swain today.
No.
I know. He's got work, he's got life, he's got no internet, and that means we're going to have to carry on at least this part of the show without him. But coming up later in the show, we have got an exclusive interview with the one, the only, Mr. Swain Stash himself.
Yes, we actually saw him this week in person, which is a bonkers scenario.
Came to the big city. I love it.
Yeah, it was very fun. We had fun, but it did throw off recording a little bit. Well, mostly him moving into a new house threw off recording. But I sat down with Swain himself to get an exclusive interview with him on the couch at 12:30 a.m. in Los Angeles, which was like 3:30 a.m. his time after seeing a comedy show. And we talked some Destiny for a few minutes. And so you will get your Swain fix for the week. But anyways, the show must go on. This is Crucible Radio, the podcast for all things Destiny PvP. Except, look, Rise of Iron just came out, and we still got a little PvE to talk about. Okay, we got to do it. Okay, and that's because
get this last bit out of the way.
Because the last bit is possibly the best bit of PvE ever to grace our screens and monitors.
Agreed. That would, of course, be the raid.
Wrath of the Machine.
Oh man, what a blast! Going into a raid blind is like a challenging proposition because there's mechanics. You got to have a good group. You got to have good communication. All that. Stars aligned. We had a phenomenal raid.
Yes.
I think really nicely conducive to kind of figuring it out for yourself blind. Like you don't have to get taught it by someone else.
Yeah.
Just good group and just a fun time and Wrath of the Machine, the raid itself. Like, I don't know about you, but that was everything I like in a raid and none of the stuff I don't.
Yes. I mean, like, just pure visually, it had so many elements to it. It had great interior, kind of cramped, but jumping puzzles where you're going to fall to your death. There's exteriors in the snow. We were outside for the first time in a raid. Fucking fantastic.
Beautiful.
There was, this great Plaguelands environment with the Siva. And then we go down and deeper into one of the craziest looking visuals I've ever seen. I don't even want to talk about it too much in case you haven't got in there. You should. But, we go deep into these vaults where Siva has interacted with whatever Rasputin's been cooking up. And it's just mind-blowing. I mean, everywhere you went, you wanted to stop and stare, even though you're like, we got to get to the next thing. Let's go. You're like, wait, but I want to look at this for a little bit.
Well, and I feel like we got a nice early start on Saturday. We had plenty of time. And I felt like that was nice. Like there was just going exploring for chests or just going exploring in general, kind of getting off the beaten path. That's something that we've seen in other raids. Some of these hidden chests are harder than others. But it kind of felt like every step in the way here, Bungie was sort of encouraging you, like, go have a look around. See if you can get up there. You can probably get up there. And rewarding you with a nice little chest for your trouble. The encounters, too, like a big difference from the last raid. King's Fall and you could even sort of say Crota were very sort of specific team-based encounters where lots of mechanics and everyone has a very specific job. There's a lot of standing still while you get flooded with mobs. And this raid, it definitely had a lot of challenging mechanics. It had a lot of interesting encounters, but it just felt more flexible. You could sort of, you weren't just pinned to one spot. You could kind of flex around with your team and try different angles on it. And I really appreciated that. Yeah.
One of the most amazing feelings is taking down a boss, especially if you're going in blind. You figured it out. You solved this problem. And you performed it, right? Because there's always performance in the raid. And this one, for the first time in a raid, it was like, oh, holy crap, we just beat that and we didn't all stand in one spot and shoot. Yep. There's moments where you got to do massive DPS. Of course, that's important because these are bosses and it wouldn't be Destiny without that. But it wasn't, everyone stay inside this bubble and don't move with your snipers. It wasn't, don't you dare step off that platform or else we all die and it's your fault. It was action packed. There was communication, but there was so much moving around. And the fact that, we defeated a boss by not shooting it, I thought was one of the best things to ever happen. We're like, we did it. Just this amazing feeling of satisfaction of like, yes, just great.
There's always that moment when you're sort of figuring it out and you go, okay, I think we understand how to beat this now. Now we have to switch into like actually beating it.
Yeah.
Like we know the mechanics now, but now we got to shoot all the guys at the right times.
Yeah. And you know what? The rewards are pretty dope.
Ooh, yes.
I could go for a little more armor. I just want it. And I've done 5 or 6 raids now. And it's like, oh, I got like 1 arm piece. I want that. But at the same time, getting tons of engrams from the chests, many chests. Actually, I believe a couple of them give you exotics, more than just the 1 exotic chest. Then you've got the ability to reroll armor perks is so good. And we will talk more about how perk design and availability has really, really improved the quality of life in Destiny, both on guns and armor, and we'll talk about that later. But
up the game.
Yeah, the raid was pretty outstanding, and I think it really is the pinnacle of Destiny.
My favorite raid. And I don't even like raiding. I like this one.
I like raiding, and I used to be a raider, man. I used to that's all I did. Every night was like, how can we beat Crota in a different way? Or, going into the vault and grinding for that helmet to get to 30 light and stuff. I rated a lot, and this one really topped all that somehow, which I found was just incredible.
Well, I would like to get deeper into some of the drops we got from the raid, because we're all about the drops, but we'll get there a little bit later. Does this close the PvE segment of our show?
I think it does. I think we stretched we had the quote unquote PvE episode last week and hadn't even got to the raid, so I think that's enough PvE for the PvP show.
We appreciate you guys powering through with us, and who are we kidding? You're enjoying it too. But let's talk about some Crucible, right?
Yes, please.
We're in it now, and we've kind of had some time to sort of stretch out, feel out the new PvP experiences. In particular, I'm really excited for these new maps. I think I like all these maps. There's not a dud in the bunch. No more of those dreadnought maps to just like put a rock in your stomach when you see that load-in screen.
Yeah.
And I'd like to talk about each of them, but before we do, I want to make a suggestion to absolutely everybody, because it's like, we're playing playlists. You see some of these maps come up for the first time, and you run around, you start to figure out where the spawns are. But I spent a little bit of time just going into a private match, just 30-minute rumble by myself. And just spending 5-10 minutes just running around the maps, learning, okay, what's the big picture layout? What's inside? What's outside? What are the laps? Where do these doors go? Like, what do I see from both sides? And that was such a huge help for me, just to kind of build up the mental map so you're not lost, you're not getting pinched because you forgot about some hallway. Cannot recommend it enough, because, hey, going into a map by yourself could not be easier these days. I
know, right? Well, and I'm just thinking about that, and like, go find the ghosts. There's cool stuff to do. How amazingly simple it was for us to go test Gvostov when we wanted to test out every perk combination and stuff like that.
We'll talk about that process later. Also, I want to point out we're still saying it wrong.
Right.
We're going to dial in on that later. But let's talk about these maps. I have to admit, I am really enjoying Skyline. That takes place at the Clovis Bray Research Facility. This one threw me for a loop at first because it's kind of it's symmetrical, but it's sort of got a weird symmetry to it. Mm-hmm. But once I sort of wrap my head around it, I find myself really liking it. It's kind of a big close quarters maps with a lot of long sight lines, a lot of really good sniper, not lanes, but just good angles. That is very fun for threes, but it's kind of big enough to sustain sixes. I'm digging it.
This is one of the best examples of a really fun mechanic that exists in other maps, but it's noticeable in the new ones, which is glass.
Yes.
I find it awesome. You get that a little bit in the center of Icarus. You get it on Last Exit, which we'll talk about. But I love the top perches over that inside heavy on Skyline where there's just enough glass so you can't snipe it. You can see someone, but you can't do anything about that. And it really encourages movement while also gaining that high ground, because a call out is a really useful thing. It's not just about getting the kill. And so being able to scope that out and seeing where the enemy is really fun. But you also get that moment of, that energized moment where two people are looking at each other, but they can't do anything.
Yes.
It's like when a bubble pops and you just sort of stare at that bubble like, I don't know what to do, but
say
I
hi.
want to get you.
Well, you mentioned flanking around on Skyline. Skyline, it clicked for me the moment I realized that it's sort of got this 45-degree symmetry, and you've got basically 5 or maybe 6 paths that go from inside to outside. You've got that dead center one, which splits into those 2 long sniper lanes. You've got the 2 outside ones, which take you right to your spawn and right to the special crates going in and out. And then you've got the middle ones that point at that big block platform outside. And there's some cool, there's a couple of tunnels in between going from one of those paths to another. But it just gives you a lot of opportunities for rotation to say like, hey, I don't like looking up. I don't like being at the bottom of these stairs. Let's pivot around and balance this out a bit. Just a fun map. Definitely a favorite for me.
Yeah. I think maybe one of my favorites is Floating Gardens, the new one on Venus. Mm-hmm. Visually very stunning. I like bright, warm places. I like the nature that shows up. You got the nice little streams that go through it, and I think it has really interesting angles. It's deceptively large. Yes. There is a lot of ground to cover, but at the same time, there's no center lane where everyone's going to be. There's no long sight line. It's very reminiscent of Pantheon because of the location, and it is symmetrical, but at the same time, Pantheon has 2 hallways. Pretty much. And they are the source of a lot of action, whereas Floating Gardens, you move horizontally more than you move vertically, and I find that very enjoyable. Plus that like open space at the top outside is always kind of crazy. It's really good. I love how it changes. The light really affects it. It has that Mercury effect on a lot of maps where you're on the dark side of the map and on the bright side. Now it's just happening on Venus.
You mentioned sort of it being a big map. I think Floating Gardens in particular is a great map for 6s. It supports 6s really well. And that's for a lot of reasons. But the main one is that unlike, Pantheon, sort of same architecture, where 2/3 of the map is really connected, Floating Gardens has got a lot of kind of independent regions. You've got the capture points, you've got the center area, you've got the bridge in the middle, and then in between those, you've got about 2 more areas on each side that are kind of self-contained. It's a fun one for something like Supremacy, or really any 6s mode, where you can play a numbers advantage. You can say, all right, in this little region, I am outnumbered, but I see my 2 teammates over there. I know that if I move over there, we're going to have the edge on them. It really encourages good map knowledge and kind of keeping on the move and sort of getting to an advantageous spot to be. But there's not one dominant position. It's too big for any one good spot.
Definitely. Well, if you're not on PS4, we apologize. But Icarus is accessible to those on the PlayStation 4, and it is a pretty solid map. I think it's maybe the most polarizing one because there's, small doors. I actually think you can spawn trap a little bit on this map. A friend just told me, which is unfortunate, but it still plays pretty smoothly. There's a lot of motion. It's round, and it reminds me of Anomaly. And Anomaly isn't purely asymmetrical, it's still that circle. But Anomaly, you can't just decide to stay on one side or one end of the map. And I like that. There's constant rotation, and there's lots of action involving more than one person because it's really hard to actually have a 1v1. You don't have a lot of time until someone else is going to join the fight immediately. And that's why Anomaly is pretty exciting. But even more so on Icarus, there's a lot of action. And I love that center tunnel with the 2 doors. It's just so funny. Like, you don't need to be there. If you're playing a normal game, you're probably not going to go through that. But it is just sort of like, there needs to be some sort of custom game where there's just chaos in that center hallway because it's just funny that it's there.
When we saw this map played live at the Bungie hosted tournament, we saw a lot of close quarters play, a lot of shotguns. And I think that, especially when you focus on the interior of the map, sort of focused, like, say, around that main ring, the generators room, and all the little tunnels that connect them, You definitely have an advantage with, a shotgun or a close quarters fusion. But I was playing Rift on this one the other day, and I really like it as a Rift map. And the reason for that is you do have to go into the crazy spot to pick up that spark, and you're going to want to have some shotgunners watching your back to really control that area. But you do need to take it outside. You need to push all the way into a very unsafe area. And outside, there's a lot of opportunities for really pretty clean, straightforward sniping, especially if you're defending. That sort of wall on the rift point is nicely set up to just be sniping people who try and jump over with the spark. And so that idea that you kind of need to have a mix of secondaries on your team, and you need to know your role as well to sort of decide, are you going to be pushing? Are you going to be sort of maintaining control of the spark? Or are you watching the rift, controlling the areas? I think there's a lot more options than just following your instinct to go inside and get up in the mix 100% of the time.
Yeah. Well, by the time this episode comes out, I think most of our listeners will be very, very familiar with this last map, Last Exit.
Oh, yes.
It is the Trials map of the week, and a lot of people are eager to kick off year 3 and get to the lighthouse, and I'm really loving it.
I genuinely love this map. I've actually played a fair amount of Rumble on Last Exit because I play a fair amount of Rumble, but it's prominently featured on that map. And one thing that was interesting to me is how differently it plays for Rumble than it plays for threes. In Rumble, you've got a lot of 1v1 engagements. So sort of that main, like the plus, that sort of that nexus, it's got the special crate there. That's the ramp that goes up into that main upstairs inside area. Mm-hmm. During Trials, going and standing right at the center of that nexus was a bad time. You're going to get pinched. You're going to get naded. But in Rumble, it was interesting. The sort of weight of the map shifts where you can have a 1v1 there that's a little more predictable, a little less dangerous to sort of poke your nose out there. But I think it's a great threes map. I enjoyed playing it, and there's definitely a push, for most rounds to kind of get up top, whether you're coming through the rubble, you're outside, you're trying to make your way indoors to that. I'm calling it the cafe, but not everyone calls it that.
I'm calling it the office.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a bar.
But I like to say people are in office.
Okay, there you go. Actually, this one is a great one for callouts because you've got an escalator, you've got an office, you've got rubble, or you got a ramp, you got trains. It's all pretty straightforward. That being said, I felt like there was a bit of advantage starting at the underneath spawn and pushing your way up the escalator. However, as soon as you did get inside that room, you had to be careful because there were so many walls to throw sticky grenades against, whether it's your lightning or your spike, that really can make a large percentage of that office area just not a safe place to be.
Yeah. Throws from coming up the ramp too from inside were pretty detrimental.
I love that that sort of back wall at the top of the escalator because that's a great place to snipe from or just sort of watch with a long range primary. But a nice toss all the way from rubble with like a lightning grenade can completely clear out that area. Yeah. And I don't know how many times we started around and we knew not to go there, but just by default, their striker titan would throw the lightning grenade there just to set it up, just in case someone wandered that direction.
I think this map plays very well. I think I saw a lot of comments like it's all 90% outside, and if you get outside, you win. It's just the speed of Trials does not let that be possible anymore, though. I really don't think that's how it flows. We had a lot of action inside. Often the right call was to go inside or even push all the way around up behind their spawn just to switch up the flow. And I think it worked really well because, all right, another thing everyone is real upset with all the time these days is doors. Doors, they slow it down. You can get into stair contests from the other sides of it. But really what's happening there is your radar. That's really the culprit. And, this goes back to the days of Mr. Fizzor talking about Inferno and how removing radar really does make the gameplay faster. And I've been thinking about this. I've been trying to figure out what it is about doors that bug us. And I think really it's about the radar. Someone's there. You want to wait and get them. It's like what you do when you see someone on your radar. You find them and shoot them. But with Last Exit, To do that would be to stand in a pretty small space. We just talked about how grenades on the back wall in the office will really hurt you. If I saw someone down the ramp or trying to sneak up and open the door, you throw a grenade and there's nowhere for them to go. So they just run away. You got to distract them and you get rid of them. So throw your grenades down the hallway and there's nothing. It's different on Black Shield.
Yes.
Black Shield has big doors with lots of room on each sides of the door. So if someone threw a grenade out the door, you just shift 4 feet to the right and stay in the same spot. In Last Exit, that's totally different. You've got 2 inches on your left and right. So that grenade is going to mess you up. You can't just sidestep or a little bit or like let an Axion kind of run around in a circle. You got to get out of that hallway if you want to avoid that. So grenades just totally shut down that whole stare down scenario. And I think that made rounds go pretty quickly and require a lot of map knowledge and good movement and good flanking.
I think there's another difference with those doors, comparing it to Black Shield again. And you could say this not just about Last Exit, but also about Skyline, which has got quite a few doors, which is that on Black Shield, you really have no choice but 3 big doors. One of them's got a big tunnel. The other two's, it's wide, but it's a pretty straight ahead choke point. I don't think you can make that criticism about Last Exit because there's about, 1, 2, 3, 4 different entrances into that office.
Yeah.
You've got doors, but they're about 10 feet apart. So while you can, I play Night Stalker, while I can throw a smoke and close down one door for the duration of it, that doesn't guarantee safety. It doesn't guarantee a stand down. If anything, it's going to give the other team the thumbs up to say, all right, flank around. He's watching that. Let's pinch him from top of escalator or from ramp or just from one of the other doors.
Not to mention, if you want to see inside, you just look through the window.
Exactly, right? the amount of information that you have to see what they're doing with not just the radar, but just staring through an enormous, somehow indestructible plate glass window.
Right.
Giving them a wave and
we can take down a Death Zamboni, but these dang windows.
Yeah, they should make my Guardian armor out of whatever that is.
Make my phone out of that.
Yes, someday. So, Bonesy, what do you think about Trials Year 3? I mean, this is our very first weekend of Trials. This is our first new map. But we've also seen some different mechanics, right? Like we now have a single heavy spawn.
Yes. So good. In terms of weapon usage, I think we're feeling that out. Shotguns are very strong these days and very popular, but I like the speed of the game. I like that, people aren't just hanging out in the back of maps as much anymore. One of the biggest changes is that heavy round, and it's very subtle. There was a lot going on in all these patch notes for the last month. There's this big old expansion called Rise of Iron with a lot of stuff to do. But I think one of the best things to happen was the change up to the heavy round in Trials games. Because what happened for a year was you get in a flow, you got 3 good rounds, the action's up, fast pace, you're getting in that vibe. And then suddenly you just got to wait for 20 seconds and then play this dumb game where you're all just shooting rockets at each other. The round never mattered. I always said that to my teammates if we were losing or if we were worried. It was just heavy round doesn't matter. I can't tell you how many times I've said that. And now it's a faster paced round. There's a clear objective and no one can just sort of hang back. You can't just do that. Well, we should agree to all just wait for half an hour, right? Let's just wait for the middle of this game and then we'll keep playing. There's none of that. I think it makes the speed of the game and the tempo of the game really good.
I think one of the things they sort of characterized the heavy round in the first year of Trials was sort of that, all right, who's got a super? Oh, I got a Nova. All right, let's just go push their heavy.
Yeah.
I'm not standing around and waiting. I don't want to just turn this into a jumping rocket showdown. And that was a strategy that most of the time, if you sort of pushed well with your team with a super and you were aggressive, the heavy would never come into the picture. How many times have I just shot off 3 rockets as the round is winding down just because I picked them up after it was over? And I love that the sort of single heavy crate has kind of combined those two approaches. I mean, sure, you want to go get heavy. It's a huge advantage, but you also have to push. You have to push to heavy. You have to control it so you can sort of rely on it to be safe enough to pick it up. You can come in with a roaming super and just completely push them off of heavy. It is a much more holistic experience between standing and waiting on your half of the map versus playing trials, getting up in the mix, and showing each other up.
Yeah, the other thing is that this change actually validates the decision to use a heavy machine gun.
Yes.
If you did that on my team last year, I probably silently was just like, man, I wish you wouldn't, because rockets are the choice here. And now it's like only one team gets that. So heavy machine guns are great if you survive that volley of rockets. And now there's no threat there. So it can definitely turn the tide of a round if that even one person gets a heavy machine gun. I think it's actually a pretty good choice these days.
I love in general machine guns are just back in the mix. So we've seen a couple other changes as well. We saw sort of a restructuring of the trials bounties. And of course, we've got a whole new loot table now. And I said it before, I'll say it again. We love the drops.
Yeah, the drops are beyond great. And that's going to take up a good portion of our time in a little bit here.
I got to say something, though, before we go there. This is something I've kind of been hesitant to say for a long time. Maybe a little embarrassed, or just sort of dealing with the fact that in a lot of ways, especially within the world of Destiny, Trials is the PvP end game experience. That's what you do when you got a strong team, you want to go dominate, and you got all these drops, you've got all the rewards for doing it. But I got to come out and say it. I don't really like elimination. I don't really like the mode. I mean, part of the reason of that is that I'm not very good at it. I'm pretty good at Rumble. I know how to sweat. I know how to rotate with a team of 3 for something where you're not completely taken out when you get picked early on. But just the sort of extreme high stakes of elimination is really challenging. And right off the bat, when I hear myself saying that, it's like, okay, good, you're bad at that. Work on that. And I think that's important. I think it's important to play trials and to play elimination and to find your weak spots and to sort of work on improving them. I mean, we were just playing with Dan last night, and he commented after many nice Last Guardian standings that one of the biggest improvements he's noticed in himself is his ability to kind of keep his head on straight and to respond well when you're outnumbered. You're the only person left on your team. That's the kind of thing you can't think intellectually about. You just have to have an instinct. You've got to have teammates giving good information. And that's something I want to be better at. I want to be better at playing defensively and not getting picked when both teams are sort of feeling each other out. But I think it's important to recognize that elimination is tough. If you're a great player, you're going to have a good time. But if you're sort of in the middle of the pack with players like me who are good against bad players, okay against people at the same skill level, and really suffer at the hands of good players, like genuinely good players you go up against, Lumi, please stop showing up in our 9th game of the ticket. Thank you, please. Enough is enough. But I think I want to be one to say out loud that I struggle with it. It's hard. It's frustrating. It can really emotionally be pretty draining when you're on that ninth game and it just doesn't go your way.
It has a stronger effect on me, and I think a lot of players, and I think that's what gives Trials its sort of what's the word, stigma? No, that's like a negative word. It's intense because you think, oh, we just lost. I wasted an hour of my time, or I wasted an hour of my teammates' time, or someone feels pressure to get someone to the lighthouse. I put myself on that too many times. I'm like, oh, I've failed someone. It's like, nah, it's not my job. I'm not at that level. But it's about exposure, and it's about, experiencing those terrible scenarios where you're the last one and you're like, I'm screwed here. It's not good, and it's probably not going to go great the first times, but eventually you start figuring out how to fight back in those scenarios. There's a very fun, intricate dance of being the last man standing and breaking through a pinch and choosing the guy to push him aggressively when they think you got him pinched and to throw him off, pushing with a revive shield. It's a conversation for maybe another time when we have more time, but it's exhilarating, and I really like that dance at those moments of Trials runs.
I got a theory here because I do want to get better at it. I want to find a way to improve and to kind of learn that play style. And I think kind of an unexpected thing happened for Rise of Iron that really is going to help a lot of players improve in Trials that has nothing to do with Trials. Call me crazy, but it kind of seems to me like the Supremacy game mode is, while having nothing to do with elimination as a format, a perfect training ground for kind of learning this sort of skills you need to have to succeed at Trials and break in a lot of the bad habits that come from, playing a control match, because it punishes you for trading. Mm-hmm. Trials, if you trade, okay, thanks, but we really needed you to stay alive. It would have been better to get him down absolute and then just not die and have a chance to fight again. And I think Supremacy does that, because if you trade, you're possibly not only not picking up the crest for your team, but they're picking up your crest. You're actually potentially putting your team in the negative for a trade. And I think that sort of proving ground, I think it breaks bad habits, it builds good ones. And I can tell it's working, because when I first started playing Supremacy, I struggled with it, man. It was tough to not just be jumping over the top and trying to say like, hey, I'm going to pick up 3 kills. That's better than a trade. Well, it doesn't count for much if you don't have your sort of team to roll with. You're not positioning well. You're not sort of dealing with the one person who's going to come flanking around. You have to address them first, just like you do in Trials, before you go for those revives.
I think that's such a great comparison for Trials, or any game where you got to stop a revive. The crest is a goal for 2 players on opposite teams, just like a body is in Trials. And when you get that instinct to not just go right to that body, but to that second step behind it to get a kill first, it's like the best feeling. And it's a really effective move in Trials, is to push on that body and get your body on top of that ghost. And that's why I like shotgunning these days, is because I can deny a res so much better than I could with a sniper, even with the res snipes that I'm pretty good at. It's really fun, because I think one of the best moments is getting a revive, just charging at them when they think they've got 4 seconds to pull it off, and taking down 2 of them at the same time. It's great. It's a great decision to learn how to make confidently, which is, no, right now we need aggression. There's times where you got to revive back up, you got to regroup and stuff, but we can end this now if we go in. And when your teammates are on board with that, it's the best. When you're just like, all right, yeah, everyone is with me on this, and you just collapse on that last person. And Supremacy, it definitely encourages that.
Well, God, what a good time to be a Destiny PvP player. We got a lot of stuff to do, and we are getting rewarded for it accordingly. We're getting all the drops. We got a ton of weapons this week we got to talk about. But before we do, I want to give a shout out to this week's sponsor,
Mafia 3.
1968, New Bordeaux, Louisiana. The rules of organized crime. I guess this is a Mafia thing. The rules of organized crime have changed. After years of combat in Vietnam, Lincoln Clay knows this truth. Family isn't who you're born with, it's who you die for. You guys got to check out this game. This is the sequel to Mafia 2, Mafia 3. This is an amazing open world style game. You're out there, you're mixing things up, you're bonking heads together, you're taking a city back. And you're doing it in an incredibly stylized, one-of-a-kind world of New Bordeaux up against the mob. You're gonna have a great experience. You got to check this game out.
Yeah, visually stunning, warm environment. You've got this soundtrack that is just killer.
Oh, the soundtrack! Like, I don't know about you, but it's just like complete with all the R&B, all the stacks from the '60s. We got oh my God, this list. We got Aretha Franklin. We got Sam and Dave. We've got Eddie Floyd. We've got Marvin Gaye. We've got Otis Redding. We got Patsy Cline and Roy Orbison, Sam Cooke, Sonny Rhodes. Like, you will be transported. Even just go watch the trailer. The trailer alone is going to take you there. Some of these cutscenes are beautiful. And guess what? You can try it out maybe for free because they're hooking it up.
Yes, Mafia 3 is available October 7th on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, rated M for mature. And you can win a copy of Mafia 3 if you go to mafiagame.com/Crucible Radio for a chance to win. look, Destiny is great, but we got to avoid that burnout. It can happen to anybody. It's happened to me. So mix it up with a game like this to really change your environment a little bit and definitely get in on that chance to win.
Got to go there. You got nothing to lose. It's mafiagame.com/Crucible Radio. Watch the trailer. You're going to like it. I'm telling you.
Feel free to pre-order now. But we got some weapons to talk about, birds.
Oh, the drops.
The drops in the raid a little bit. We got the trials drops. We got just stuff we've been grinding for over the past 2 weeks from our factions and stuff like that. But trials is the focus here, guys. It's great.
Yeah.
But what have you gotten from anything else in the tower? Anything that stood out?
Well, we talked about it last week and we mispronounced it earlier. It turns out the K is silent. You just give it kind of like a H kind of H. It's Hvostov.
Hvostov.
Yeah, no Kvostov, Hvostov. We actually took this one into a private and played with all the perks. I got a little chart here. This is, don't get it wrong, Hvostov is an auto rifle for sure. Mm-hmm. Even when you put it in the semi-auto mode, I think you mentioned last week, it's not a scout rifle. It's still an auto rifle. But in the course of playing with it, I came across a couple different loadouts on it that I really liked. I thought there's definitely some interesting options. Of course, you can go for really both of the auto rifle styles, both the 450 RPM and the 900 RPM, which is sort of your doctrine. That's definitely a strong spot for this. But one that really surprised me was the semi-auto mode. Put it in semi-auto, put it slow firing, because I don't know how you could ever pull that trigger fast enough to get up to 900 RPM. And then go for the range perks. So that's going to be the classic scope, rangefinder, and hammer forged. I think it's hammer forged to get that maximum range. As a sixes kind of team shooting weapon, it has phenomenal range for an auto rifle. And, up there with, Questing Beast, one of the longest ranges from year 2, that is maybe not competitive, but a very viable choice for playing pubs. Mm-hmm. That is fulfilling the dream of this gun, this ultimately configurable gun. That was a really fun one.
I actually got an LDR, of course, now after grinding for it for a while. But I've been using Ophidian Aspect on my Warlock, and holy shit, is that a good exotic?
Oh, baby.
But I had Quick Draw, and now I don't even need to use it, so I got hand-laid stock, and this thing doesn't kick at all. It's hilarious for a sniper rifle. Another diamond in the rough, or like pretty shiny ruby in the rough that's not quite as expensive as a diamond. I don't know how jewels work, but Quantaplasm, the raid shotgun.
Oh, this, I
it's kind of fun.
Fell in love with this one. I've, unlike some people, I do not have the magic RNG. I don't have a killer Matador yet. I never got a decent party crasher in all of year 2. Breaks my heart. But as far as I can tell, there's really kind of 2 choices for easily available shotguns. The first is going to be the Last Ditch from Dead Orbit, which is not a Matador, but it's very serviceable. And the other is Quantaplasm. I want to say it's got a little bit less range, a little bit more impact with the right barrel mod. But the perk combo on this gun is so much fun. The Battle Runner. So basically, you get a kill, you trigger the Battle Runner, you're moving fast. I feel like someone's behind me pushing me with a Sparrow. And also, it's hilarious to be reloading while you're moving at sprint speed. That doesn't seem right. But in addition to that, you get the armor bonus. And for that, I think this makes it a great shotgun choice for sixes, especially for Supremacy, where you really want to focus on that little bit of time after you get the kill to prevent the trade. You got crests to pick up. You got work to do.
It's definitely fun. It's not going to be my go-to trial shoddy just because I want that perfect 1v1 scenario, but it is a fun little gun. All right, look, we got to talk about your goddamn sniper rifle that you got. And I saw it drop, and I'm very jealous. I have a thing to brag about too, but like this Trials sniper is
Trials good to me, man.
What the hell? It's beautiful.
Before I even got a chance to play with this, I'm just hearing like, oh, this is the best sniper in the game. It's the best. I loved Still Piercer in year 2, and it is very comparable to that. You got sort of the same zoom. You've got the same impact, so it is your 1,000-yard stare kind of LDR high impact archetype. But with some of the barrel mods, you have a little bit of extra damage that's required to knock Guardians out of their super. Something that a 1,000-yard stare cannot always do reliably with a lot of armor levels. So there's that. But aside from that, it's got a beautiful built-in scope, very reminiscent of Still Piercer with sort of that plus sign reticle. But it's got perks, man. Like I've always been a fan of sort of the curated kind of perk locked guns. And I think they've done a phenomenal job with these in trials this year. The gun, by the way, is called the Winged Word. And just right off the bat, like without even thinking too much about it, I picked up perfect balance, snapshot, and unflinching. If I got that roll on any other sniper, I would never use anything else. Just a great choice. But hey, let's say you're Bonesy, you're running with that Ophidian aspect, you don't need the snapshot. Okay, get a little bit more range in there. Maybe you want some faster handling, so you switch to injection mold to get the better handling and stability and balance it out with hand loaded. Even unflinching. Unflinching is great, but it's a flinch heavy meta these days. So go for the life support. Life support has saved me so many times. Another great choice for Supremacy when you gotta not die, or trials when you gotta not trade. It's such an absolute stunner for a sniper to consistently get out of the box. You got to get one, Bones.
Yeah.
Why don't you have one yet?
I don't know. It's because I got this pulse rifle.
Oh, well, you did okay then there. This is, what's the pulse rifle called? This is the...
Blind Perdition.
Blind Perdition. Tell me about this gun.
Okay, so you talking about these perks is just like music to my ears because we've done this show for over a year now, and a lot of the conversation has always been about who gets what guns. How do I get the best gun? Is RNG making me lose? They've evolved this approach for the longest time now, and it feels like it's in the best spot it's ever been in. And that's giving perks set roles that also have options. So we've seen the steps to this because, raid guns, set perks, trials weapons, set perks. And year 2 gave us some really great options like Doctrine, and the sniper had a great setup. But if you didn't like that setup specifically, it was just sort of like, well, you can use this or you just don't. And now I've got this pulse with like 3 setups I want to try using. But I want to talk about this Blind Perdition. I have the Adept version, and let me just tell you, this is the gun everyone should be trying to get. It could easily be the best primary in Destiny right now.
Woo, big words.
Yeah, and I don't just say that. So let's talk about this. Snapshot, built in with Adept. Beautiful. Not the end all be all on a primary, so please use the standard one and don't think you need this one. And to go flawless, just use the pulse. That's a nice touch. This pulse has the barrel mods instead of scopes, which is something to get used to, but these are pretty interesting because you can use CQB or Smart Drift to actually max the stability if you really want using all these perks. I actually like Smooth Ballistics because that gives a tiny boost to range and to aim assist, which I'm a fan of because I can kind of control my own pulses at this point.
Well, and I like that they chose barrels that were like, there's not a bad choice there. These are all perfectly suited for a pulse where stability and range are the name of the game. Like, no throwaways.
Exactly. In the second column here, we got small bore or hand laid stock. Now, small bore can really buff up the range on this pulse to a pretty absurd amount. Like, it looks like, I know some exotics that do this, like Monte Carlo's range or maybe Bad Juju, but this is on a legendary, and that's nice. One thing I don't like, though, is the magazine going down to 21. That's really small for a pulse rifle, and you're getting 1 kill out of that and then having to reload.
That seems like the one big downfall of this gun. I mean, It's got best in class everything else, but it is a trials gun for sure. In 6s where you're spending a ton of time reloading every time you empty this little mag, that could be an issue.
Yeah, and maybe you want to use my perk suggestion at the end here for that. But I've been running hand laid stock, more stability, less range, but it's still pretty solid in the range department. Third column, we got high caliber or hand loaded. Now, hand loaded is one of those year 1 perks that got reduced, so now it feels like an off-brand rifled barrel or something like that. I recommend high caliber rounds because those things stagger like no other, and you can really combat snipers with this gun. And the final one, which is kind of interesting here, I'm going to go against what I've been talking about for a long time, or what I've been recommending to people. There's counterbalance or outlaw. I've been voting against counterbalance as of 5 hours ago.
Now, why is this? Counterbalance is going to make your recoil almost perfectly vertical. That's a good thing, right? That's easier to control. That seems like the go-to here. I love Outlaw, but that seems like the one.
Yes, counterbalance is what I'd use in so many roles. I have it on the Vendor Hawk Saw, and I love the Vendor Hawk Saw. But what Don Vito Soul told me this morning in a trials run, and thank you, Don, for this advice, counterbalance will stretch the pulse farther apart. So the 3 bullets will be right on top of each other, but they're actually a little farther apart. Without counterbalance, they're more clumped together. So yeah, there's left and right. You really got to control it. But if you get good control on that, it's like a laser. And all 3 hit more on your reticle and less about that straight up and down kick. So I'm using Outlaw, and yeah, the reload perk is nice. And maybe you want that small bore with the small mag because you're reloading fast. But I think it really makes this gun a laser. And I'm actually surprised that like I switched to it for a game of trials, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. It's going to take me a little bit of time to get used to that, but it's a freaking laser, and that reload perk is not bad to have. We could do an episode on this gun. It's very good. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the scopes on these things, on these trials weapon, highlight enemy targets.
Oh, perfect, right? Like
this thing is like 8 perks on it.
As a Night Stalker, it's my job to just put as much smoke and like purple plasma up in the air between me and the enemy as possible. Being able to see straight through that to the enemy is kind of nice.
It was working amazing on last exit with a Night Stalker on my team throwing smoke at the rubble, and me just being able to see through all of those shadows and finish off the kills and stuff. Just fantastic. I'm so happy with the Trials guns. All of them have something to love, and they all look freaking cool.
We are in the era of sick as drops. I got to just mention quickly 2 other guns. I don't have huge reviews on these, but they're absolutely worth checking out. The first, of course, is the new meta hand cannon, the Palindrome. I really spent a lot of time with the Palindrome this week. And look, I got an AS Luna that I love. It's got that Outlaw perk on it, which is such a blast on hand cannons. But the Palindrome does one thing and one thing well, which is to give you maximum range on a hand cannon in that great AOS archetype. And frankly, there's no better choice aside from maybe getting lucky with a better roll on it from a drop. Go buy it from the Crucible Quartermaster. If you do not own a Palindrome yet, if you don't use hand cannons, I don't care. Go get this one, pick it up, learn how to use it. It is going to be one of the top weapons we see in competitive play in at least this first half of year 3.
Definitely.
Other one I just want to brag about because I seem to have gotten every exotic so far. I'm still missing Thorn. I got my Nemesis Star 2. I'm having a ton of fun playing with machine guns. This one is a weirdo. It changes archetypes as you shoot it. Granted, in PvP, you're not holding down the trigger for that long.
That's almost to your benefit with this gun.
It really is. I mean, it's I prefer slower firing for PvP. And man, picking up a heavy crate and rumble and just going to town with a machine gun is the difference between a win and a loss so much of the time. And yeah, I also just want to brag about my drops. I got Shinobu, Ophidian Aspect, Nemesis. I just like the list goes on. I got them all.
Blah, blah.
I don't have Thorn yet.
I finally got my Ophidian, and that's all I need. But I think we should talk about exotics next week because there's a lot of interesting ones.
Oh.
Plus, Swain's got to be here, right?
I know. What are we doing? And
we should have not done this.
Swain, you get a dedicated Swain drop segment next week to catch up with us.
Yeah.
We miss you, buddy. Let's hear from Swain. I need a little dosage of Swain right now. That sounds wrong. Phrasing.
Keep it in, Andrew. Keep it in.
I want to hear what you guys got up to after we parted ways and you headed back to Shea Bonesy.
Oh, yeah.
A little chat with an extremely sleepy Swain. Musical break.
I know it's complicated. Why are you fading away? Broken, bruised up and battered as I heard all the shatters.
Music coming to you this week from Adam's Air. Check him out. It's ATOMSHEIR.com. Go give him a listen. And if you are a musician and a fan of Crucible Radio, why not be a musician played on Crucible Radio? Send us your music. It's an email. It's so easy. crucibleradio@gmail.com. Can't wait to hear it.
All your promises that you didn't intend to keep. It's not just what you say, but who you are, and I can see you in my rear view. Remember what you say, all your promises.
Hi, birds. Hey, Birds, this is a message to you. It is 12:37 a.m. in Los Angeles, California.
Beautiful brown Los Angeles.
Yes, Swain has noted that it is very dry and very few green things here. And that's a sad reality what we all live in, and Swain makes it a funny joke when he shows up for 24 hours. That's right. This is Bones. I'm sitting here with Swain Stash, who is in Los Angeles.
Yes, I am.
Because we saw... why are you here?
Yesterday was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're 35 years old.
I'm 40.
I'm a bloody 40-year-old man.
I'm a 45-year-old man. And decided to come out here for a day for my birthday to see our favorite comedy group,
Anti-Duna.
Anti-Duna.
Yes, we just saw a comedy show, and then we got dinner with you, Birds, because this is a message to you. And it was very funny and hysterical even.
Yeah.
Lights out even? Was it lights out funny?
I mean, the lights were off.
Yes, for most of the show. Most of the show was pitch black.
Yes, except for the lights that were on the stage.
Yeah,
But,
okay.
I suppose we should talk about Destiny, right?
Yeah, so why we're doing this. One, we always try to record when we're in the same location because it's not very often. But also, Swain is in the process of moving.
So I don't have internet. So it's either this or I call on my phone.
Yeah.
And that's probably worse.
We don't know what's actually happening because at this point in time, we didn't figure out the episode enough. So this could all just be useless.
This could be at the end. This could be in the middle.
Could be at the very front.
Yep, at the very beginning.
It could be before the music. This is still the cold open, possibly. We don't know that.
Don't you dare play music over me, Andrew.
But yes, let's all pour one out for Swain, who does not have internet for a week. And
what, a week after the expansion came out,
Yeah.
I'm without internet.
we're all grinding our light level, going through the raid. You did get almost all the way through it on Friday.
Yeah.
So at least you have experienced what I think is the pinnacle of Destiny thus far. The best.
No, I got to enjoy it. I'm definitely sitting on the sidelines, weeping softly into my hands that everybody's getting this really cool raid pulse rifle, and I'm just sitting here moving into my house.
It's a lot of work.
Shucks.
So think of it that way.
Yeah.
Did you get any drops
Before?
from the raid?
From the raid? Oh, I got the fusion rifle and the gauntlets.
Okay. Fusion, I feel like, is not.
Thus proving my theory further that when you use something a bunch, it's the first thing that drops.
I guess that's. I could see it, yeah, because I got a lot of the shotgun and many scout rifles.
Yes.
I've done the raid 4 completions now, and I've used a few of the cache keys, which gives you more drops, and it's mostly been shotguns and the scout rifle.
Yeah.
The scout rifle is definitely cool for PvE, but will probably never be fired in the Crucible unless someone's being a goof.
Yeah.
The shotgun, on the other hand, is actually pretty great for 6s because you get that bonus agility and bonus armor to just push forward with it.
I'm probably most upset about missing the first weekend of trials, which is about to happen.
Yes.
This upcoming weekend. Hasn't happened yet as of this recording, but
Yeah, this is early in the week for us. It's
Ugh.
it's technically
one day early. It's the worst.
the worst.
But no, yeah, it's the trials that's coming around this weekend should be who took the time with the difference in light level between people. Apparently,
yeah.
Apparently you can body shot someone. If you're at max light, you can body shot someone who's at 350 with a sniper rifle.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, to the few of you who are 385, cool it.
Don't body shots, please.
And to the many of you who are still grinding your light up, please get somewhere above 350 before going into trials. Not because we demand that you become a tryhard and play a lot, but because it might not be a fun experience to take body shots and die. But yeah, it was a funny shift where it's like, okay, we just raided. Now I have to actually start light leveling up my PvP build. So I'll be playing a lot on my Warlock for sure, because that's the only thing that has a loadout that's for PvP and is a high enough light.
Now, I'm excited to get back to it once I have the internet again. Slowly but surely. I'm not in any rush anymore. You know, the initial rush to get ready for the raid was
A lot.
a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of strikes, a lot of infusion into other things. Now I'm just gonna start the horde everything, all the guns I get, all the armor, especially armor. I like to save armor so that like later on I go in and I like sift through it to see if any of it's like tier 12 capable.
Yes, and Destiny Item Manager did reinstate that ability.
Yeah. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Get a bunch of armor, wait, and then see what works. That's how I ended up with like every possible tier 12 capability on my Titans.
I have a few backup pieces. I'm being pretty stingy with it. If it's not like the perfect thing,
But that's also
I don't
the way to get
keep it.
the stuff, like the look you want and the perks you want. Just kind of hold on to everything and just wait.
Yeah, but I just dismantle anything that requires worm spore.
Yeah, fuck that.
Well, it's very late. It's the middle of the night. We had an exhausting day.
It's like 3 a.m. where I'm from.
Yeah, that's true. And Swain's heading back to Philly very soon. So, Birds, who this recording is for, good night.
Good morning. I don't know when you're doing this, but
And for everyone else who's weirdly listening in to this conversation that we're trying to have to Birds, our co-host and best friend.
get out.
What are you doing? Turn it off. Okay, bye.
And I was like, hello, where you wanna stay, girl, where you wanna go? You can hit that stage or you can hit that pole, but you rather...
Well, that was a really fun time I had with Swain. I can remember that conversation perfectly, as if it were seconds ago. Definitely haven't forgot what we talked about on that recording.
That being said, Swain, it's not just that we miss you. We need you here, buddy. This kind of thing, it's just like me and Bonesy in a talking contest, both like seeing how long we can make our paragraphs and how few opportunities we can leave for somebody else to jump in until we've said everything. I'm doing it right now. I'm not going to give him a single moment to... Now you got to talk over me? Completely Swain, you are the salt and the pepper to our white bread sandwich. And actually, Bones, maybe you're white bread. I'm probably like corned beef or something.
You're like Swiss cheese.
I'm Swiss cheese. Swain, you're the spicy. Come back.
We need spicy
you.
Swain.
Spicy Swain.
Man. Well, find us on the space internet. I'm just going to get this over with because it's not Swain saying it.
Yeah, crucibleradio.com. Follow us on twitter.com/crucibleradio. You can find all of our personal accounts there.
Offer code Crucible with Control Freaks. I've been getting feedback, guys. Thank you for using that code. I'm glad some of you love it. I'm glad some of you are coming around because it's one of the more game-changing items you can buy at an incredibly affordable price that will just immediately make you feel better playing video games. Offer code Crucible.
Where, like, what else can you buy that will just, like, in an instant make you better at the Crucible? Like, that does not come along very often.
Yeah.
So it's a great deal. Check them out. It's a great product.
We'll be back in full force next week. Until then, see you later.
Bye, guys.